A woman was enjoying a good game of golf with her female friends. "Oh no," she suddenly exclaimed as she looked at her watch. "Look at the time. I have to rush home and fix dinner for my husband. He'll be so annoyed if it's not ready on time." When she got home, she discovered all she had in the fridge was a wilted lettuce leaf, an egg, and a can of cat food. With no time to go to the supermarket, she opened the can of cat food, stirred in the egg, and garnished it with the lettuce leaf. She greeted her husband warmly when he came home and then watched in trepidation as he sat down to his dinner. To her surprise, he seemed to be enjoying it. "Darling, this is the best dinner you've made me in 40 years of marriage. You can make this for me any day." Needless to say, every golf day from then on, the woman made her husband the same dish. She told her golf partners about it, and they were all horrified. "You're going to kill him," they exclaimed. 2 months later, her husband died. The women were sitting around the clubhouse, and one of them said, "You killed him. We told you that feeding him cat food every week would do him in. How can you just sit there so calmly knowing you murdered your husband?" The wife stoically replied, "I didn't kill him. He fell off the windowsill while he was licking." A magician was working on a cruise ship in the Caribbean. The audience would be different each week, so the magician allowed himself to do the same tricks over and over again. There was only one problem. The captain's parrot saw the shows each week and began to understand how the magician did every trick. Once he understood, he started shouting in the middle of the show, "Look, look, it's not the same hat. Look, he is hiding the flowers under the table. Hey, why are all the cards the ace of spades?" The magician was furious, but couldn't do anything. It was, after all, the captain's parrot. One day the ship had an accident and sank at sea. The magician found himself on a large piece of wood in the middle of the ocean with the parrot, of course. The two of them stared at each other with hate, but didn't utter a word. This went on for a day, and another, and another. After about a week, the parrot said, "Okay, I give up. Where's the boat?" All women should live so long as to be this kind of old lady. Toward the end of Sunday service, the minister asked, "How many of you have forgiven your enemies?" 80% held up their hands. The minister then repeated his question. All responded this time, except one small elderly lady. "Mrs. Neely, are you not willing to forgive your enemies?" "I don't have any," she replied, smiling sweetly. "Mrs. Neely, that is very unusual. How old are you?" 98, she replied. "Oh, Mrs. Neely, would you please come down in front and tell us all how a person can live 98 years and not have an enemy in the world?" The little sweetheart of a lady tottered down the aisle, faced the congregation, and said, "I outlived the bitches." Two hillbillies were having the blue plate special at their favorite watering hole when they heard this awful choking sound. They turned around to see a lady a few bar stools down, turning blue from wolfing down a possum burger too fast. The first hillbilly said to the other, "Think we ought to help?" "Yep," said the second hillbilly. The first hillbilly got up and walked over to the lady and asked, "Can you breathe?" She shook her head no. "Can you speak?" he asked. She again shook her head no. With that, he helped her to her feet, lifted up her skirt, and started to lick her backside. She was so shocked, she coughed up the obstruction and began to breathe with great relief. The first hillbilly turned back to his friend and said, "Funny how that there hind lick maneuver works every time." During his Sunday sermon on base, a Navy chaplain focused on the topic, "Forgive your enemies." After delivering a long message, he asked the congregation how many were willing to forgive their enemies. About half raised their hands. Not satisfied, he preached for another 20 minutes and asked again. This time, around 80% responded affirmatively. Still not content, he went on for another 15 minutes before posing the question one more time. With thoughts of Sunday lunch on everyone's mind, nearly every hand went up except for one retired Master Chief in the back. "Master Chief, are you not willing to forgive your enemies?" he asked. "I don't have any," the Master Chief replied. "Master Chief, that's quite remarkable. How old are you?" The Master Chief replied, 93. "Master Chief, Please come up here and tell the congregation how someone can live to 93 and not have a single enemy. Slowly, the old Master Chief made his way to the front, turned around, and said, "It's simple. I just outlive them." Stumpy and his wife Martha went to the state fair every year. Every year Stumpy would say, "Martha, I'd like to ride in that airplane." And every year Martha would say, "I know, Stumpy, but that airplane ride costs $10, and $10 is $10. This one year, Stumpy and Martha went to the fair, and Stumpy said, "Martha, I'm 71 years old. If I don't ride that airplane this year, I may never get another chance." Martha replied, "Stumpy, that airplane ride costs $10, and $10 is $10. The pilot overheard them and said, "Folks, I'll make you a deal. I'll take you both up for a ride. If you can stay quiet for the entire ride and not say one word, I won't charge you. But if you say one word, it's $10. Stumpy and Martha agreed, and up they go. The pilot does all kinds of twists and turns, rolls and dives, but not a word is heard. He does all his tricks over again, but still not a word. They land, and the pilot turns to Stumpy. "By golly, I did everything I could think of to get you to yell out, but you didn't." Stumpy replied, "Well, I was going to say something when Martha fell out, but $10 is $10. A man was driving along a rural road one day when he saw a three-legged chicken. He was amused enough to drive alongside it for a while. As he was driving, he noticed the chicken was running 30 miles per hour. Pretty fast chicken, he thought. I wonder just how fast it can run. So he sped up, and the chicken did too. They were now moving along the road at 45 miles per hour. The man in the car sped up again. To his surprise, the chicken was still running ahead of him at 60 miles per hour. Suddenly, the chicken turned off the road and ran down a long driveway leading to a farmhouse. The man followed the chicken to the house and saw a man in the yard and dozens of three-legged chickens. The man in the car called out to the farmer, "How did you get all these three-legged chickens?" The farmer replied, "I breed him. You see, it's me, my wife, and my son living here, and we all like to eat the chicken leg. Since a chicken only has 2 legs, I started breeding this three-legged variety so we could all eat our favorite piece." "That's amazing," said the driver. "How do they taste?" "Don't rightly know. Can't catch them." A woman stopped by, unannounced, at her son's house. She knocked on the door, then immediately walked in. She was shocked to see her daughter-in-law lying on the couch, totally naked. Soft music was playing, and the aroma of perfume filled the room. "What are you doing?" she asked. "I'm waiting for Mike to come home from work," the daughter-in-law answered. "But you're naked," the mother-in-law exclaimed. "This is my love's dress," the daughter-in-law explained. "Love dress? But you're naked." "Mike loves me and wants me to wear this dress," she explained. "It excites him to no end. Every time he sees me in this dress, he instantly becomes romantic and ravages me for hours on end. He can't get enough of me." The mother-in-law left. When she got home, she undressed, showered, put on her best perfume, dimmed the lights, put on a romantic CD, and lay on the couch, waiting for her husband to arrive. Finally, her husband came home. He walked in and saw her lying there so provocatively. "What are you doing?" he asked. "This is my love's dress," she whispered sensually. "Needs ironing," he said. "What for dinner?" He never heard the gunshot. 2 ladies talking in heaven. First woman, "Hi, Wanda." Second woman, "Hi, Sylvia. How did you die?" First woman, "I froze to death." Second woman, "How horrible." First woman, "It wasn't so bad. After I stopped shaking from the cold, I began to feel warm and sleepy. Then I peacefully drifted off. What about you?" Second woman, "I had died of a massive heart attack. I suspected my husband was cheating on me, so I came home early to catch him in the act. But when I got there, I found him alone in the den, watching TV. First woman, "So what happened?" Second woman, "I was convinced there had to be another woman somewhere in the house. So I started searching. I ran up to the attic and looked everywhere. Then I searched the basement. After that, I checked every closet and looked under every bed. I kept searching until I'd looked everywhere. By then, I was so exhausted that I collapsed from a heart attack and died. First woman, that's too bad. Second woman, why? First woman, because if you had checked the freezer, we'd both still be alive. Hello, is this the sheriff's office? Yes. What can I do for you? I'm calling to report my neighbor, Virgil Smith. He's hiding marijuana inside his firewood. I don't know exactly how he gets it inside those logs, but he's hiding it there. Thank you very much for the call, sir. The next day, the sheriff's deputies descended on Virgil's house. They searched the shed where the firewood was stored. Using axes, they chopped open every single log. They searched thoroughly, but found no marijuana. Frustrated, they sneered at Virgil and left. A short while later, the phone rang at Virgil's house. Hey, Virgil, this is Floyd. Did the sheriff come by? Yep. Did they chop all your firewood for the winter? Yep. Happy birthday, buddy. A woman and a baby were in the doctor's examination room, waiting for the baby's first checkup. The doctor came in, examined the baby, and checked his weight. A little concerned, he asked, "Is the baby breastfed or bottle-fed?" "Breastfed," the woman replied. "Well, then, please undress from the waist up," the doctor said. She did. The doctor carefully examined her, checking and pressing both breasts in a thorough and professional manner. After a few moments, he stepped back and motioned for her to get dressed. "No wonder this baby is underweight," he said. "You don't have any milk." "I know," the woman replied. "I'm his grandmother, but I'm glad I came." Two blondes went on an outdoor adventure weekend in the countryside and ended up hopelessly lost during a hunting expedition. With no cell phone service and no one answering their shouts, they sat down in despair to figure out a plan. Suddenly, one of them remembered the safety briefing. "Hey, didn't the guide say that if we got lost, we should shoot into the air to signal for help?" "You're totally right," the other replied, quickly grabbing their gear bag. Nearly 3 hours and 10 shots later, the woods remained dead silent, and nobody had come to their rescue. "Do you think anyone is ever going to find us?" the first blonde asked dejectedly. The second blonde sighed heavily, peering into the bag, and said, "I really hope so, because we're almost out of arrows." A woman was in the middle of a grueling labor. After hours of intense pushing and sweating, the baby's head finally popped out. The newborn took one look at the delivery doctor and asked, "Are you my daddy?" "No, I'm just the doctor," the startled medic replied. Without a word, the baby popped right back into the womb. Perplexed, the doctor hurried to the waiting room to fetch the husband. "Your son refuses to fully emerge until he sees his father," the doctor explained. The anxious father rushed into the delivery room and knelt by his wife's side. A moment later, the baby's head popped out once more. "Are you my daddy?" the baby asked. The father smiled proudly and cheered. "Yes, son, I am your father." At that, the newborn reached out, tapped his index finger forcefully and repeatedly right on the father's forehead, and snapped. "That's pretty damned annoying, isn't it?" A doctor was lecturing a large audience about the hidden dangers of the modern diet. Red meat is pumped with steroids. Soda corrodes your stomach lining, and trans fats are a ticking time bomb, he warned passionately. But there is one specific item that causes far more agonizing grief and long-term suffering than anything else. Can anyone here tell me what food item that is? A heavy silence fell over the room. Finally, a 70-year-old man at the back slowly raised his hand and sighed. "That'd have to be wedding cake." An elderly man challenged the local golf pro to a $100 match. "But since you're obviously much better than me," the old man bargained, "you have to spot me 2 gotchas to even things up." The pro had no idea what a gotcha was, but completely confident in his skills, he laughed and agreed. Later that afternoon, the clubhouse members were shocked to see the pro defeated, reluctantly handing over the $100 bill to the grinning old man. "What on earth happened?" one of the members asked. The pro sighed, visibly traumatized. "I was on the first tee, right at the peak of my downswing, when the old scoundrel reached between my legs, grabbed my crotch, and yelled, 'Gotcha!' Have you ever tried to play 18 holes of golf, constantly waiting for the second one?" After a long, passionate night of making love, Ben rolled over and searched his jeans for a lighter to smoke a cigarette. Unable to find one, he asked Penny if she had any leads. "There might be some matches in the top drawer of the nightstand," she murmured sleepily. Ben opened the drawer and found a matchbox resting neatly on top of a framed photograph of a handsome man. Jealous panic instantly set in. "Is this your husband?" Ben asked nervously. "No, silly," Penny giggled, snuggling up closer to him. "Your boyfriend, then?" he pressed, breaking into a slight sweat. "Not at all," she whispered, playfully nibbling his ear. "Well, who on earth is he?" Ben demanded, completely bewildered. Penny smiled sweetly and replied, "That's me before the operation." A fourth-grade teacher decided to give her students a short lesson in logic. She stood at the front of the classroom and said, "Children, listen carefully and think before you answer." The students sat up straight, ready for the challenge. The teacher began, "A man is fishing in the middle of a river. He is standing in a small boat when suddenly he loses his balance, falls into the water, and starts yelling for help." The children listened closely. "His wife hears him from nearby," the teacher continued. "She knows her husband cannot swim, so she immediately runs to the bank." A group of girlfriends is on vacation when they see a 5-story hotel with a sign that reads "For women only." Since they are without their boyfriends and husbands, they decide to go in. The bouncer, a very attractive guy, explains to them how it works. "We have 5 floors. Go up floor by floor, and once you find what you're looking for, you can stay there. It's easy to decide since each floor has a sign telling you what's inside." So they start going up, and on the first floor the sign reads, "All the men here have it short and thin." The friends laugh and without hesitation move on to the next floor. The sign on the second floor reads, "All the men here have it long and thin." Still, this isn't good enough, so the friends continue on up. They reach the third floor, and the sign reads, "All the men here have it short and thick." They still want to do better, and so, knowing there are still 2 floors left, they continued on up. On the 4th floor, the sign is perfect. "All the men here have it long and thick." The women get all excited and are going in when they realize that there is still 1 floor left. Wondering what they are missing, they head on up to the 5th floor. There they find a sign that reads, "There are no men here." This floor was built only to prove that there is no way to please a woman. A man asks his wife, "What would you most like for your birthday?" She answers, "I'd love to be 10 again." So on a morning of her birthday, he gets her up bright and early, and off they go to the local theme park. What a day! He puts her on every ride in the park. The death slide, the screaming loop, the wall of fear. Everything there is. Wow! She staggers out of the theme park 5 hours later, her head reeling and her stomach upside down. Right into McDonald's they go, and her husband orders a double Big Mac for her along with extra fries and a refreshing strawberry shake. Then off to a movie. It's the latest Star Wars epic, and hot dogs, popcorn, Pepsi-Cola, and M&Ms. What a fabulous adventure. Finally, she wobbles home with her husband and collapses into bed. He leans over lovingly and asks, "Well, dear, what was it like being 10 again?" One eye opens and she groans, "Schmuck, I meant dress size." A doctor had an unusual habit. He had a fee of $50, no matter what ailment. If he failed in finding a cure, he would give $500 to the patient. One day, a man came to him and said, "Doctor, my sense of taste is deteriorating." The doctor gave him a jar and said, "Have a spoonful of this." The man tries some, spits it out, and says, "This is shaving foam. Why would you give this to a patient?" The doctor said, "Well, it seems your sense of taste is just fine. That'll be $50. 2 weeks later, the same man went to the doctor and said, "Doctor, I think I have Alzheimer's." On hearing this, the doctor gave him a jar and said, "Have a spoonful of this." The man got annoyed and asked, "Wait, isn't this shaving foam?" The doctor said, "It seems you can remember things just fine. That'll be $50. 2 months later, the man once again went to the doctor and said, "Doctor, you must help me. I lost my eyesight." The doctor said, "Oh dear, I'm afraid I don't have a cure for that. Here's $500. The man was overjoyed on finally outsmarting the doctor. But when he saw the money, he blurted out, "Isn't this $5?" The doctor remarked, "It seems you can see just fine. That'll be $50. A little white rabbit is being chased through the forest by a bear. As they are running, they both trip over a magic lamp. The genie pops out and looks at the two. "Since you both touch the lamp, you will both get 3 wishes," says the genie. The bear starts jumping up and down, waving its paws, and says, "Oh, me first. I wish all the bears in this forest, except for me, were female." The genie snaps his fingers, and all the bears in the forest except for this bear are females. The rabbit says, "I'll take a scooter, please." The genie snaps his fingers, and poof, a little white scooter, just the right size for the rabbit, appears. The bear says, Oh, if you can make all the bears in this forest female, then I want all the bears in this country, but me to be female." The genie snaps his fingers, and all of the bears in that country, except for this bear, are females. The rabbit says, "I'll take a helmet." The genie snaps his fingers, and a little white helmet with ear holes appears on the seat of the scooter. The bear is really excited now. He leaps up and down and yells, "If you can make all the bears in this country female, then I wish all the bears in the world were female, except me." The genie snaps his fingers, and all the bears in the entire world, except for this bear, are female. The rabbit puts on his helmet and hops on the scooter. He looks at the genie, then at the bear, then back to the genie. He says, "I wish the bear were gay," and drives off. An arrogant boss, the secretary, saw that her boss' zipper was open when he walked out of the bathroom. "Hey, boss, your garage door is open." The arrogant boss walked real close to her and said, "I hope you got a good look at my Ferrari." The witty secretary quickly said, "No, but I did get a glimpse of a small scooter with 2 deflated wheels."